Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Pruitt, I just
Yes,
want to,
Senator.
I want to come back to this question again, and let me just tell you, I played second base as well. This is, this is a hanging curveball. You can knock this out of a park with a yes, all right? Will you commit, yes or no, to reversing the EPA's current interpretation that available infrastructure should limit the requirements to blend biofuels into our fuel supply, given that it runs counter to congressional intent?
I will not take any steps to undermine the objectives and the statute of the RFS as administrator, as EPA.
So are you committing, will you commit to opposing any attempts to move the point of obligation from the farmer, the soybean producers, the corn producers, and biofuel manufacturers away from them and towards the blenders? Because that would be counter to congressional intent.
Senator, that is something, as I've indicated, there is an open comment period on that very issue. And if confirmed, I would be dealing with that issue and need to respond to the comments that have been made as part of the record. It would be unwise to prejudge that outcome. I can say to you that any steps that I would take as administrator would be in furtherance of the RFS and not to undermine the RFS.
But the comment period has nothing to do with congressional intent. Earlier today, you said that you would abide by congressional intent, that the congressional intent is to keep that point of obligation with the soybean and corn producers and the biofuel manufacturers, not to move away from it, regardless of what the open comment period says. So you're saying that you're willing, that your answer is no, because you would be open to moving it away from the soy and soybean growers, the farmers, towards the blenders, if that's what the comment period says. If that is what comes out of the comment period, is that what you're saying? And that would be against congressional intent, though.
Senator, I think maybe with respect to congressional intent and the statute, the intent as far as the point of obligation is not addressed in the statute itself. That is a decision, and the administrator has been involved in that process historically. It's been subject to much discussion. In fact, the EPA has dealt with this issue before. What I'm saying to you is, it's the job of the administrator to enforce the program, to administer the program, to ensure that the intent of Congress as far as the RFS is upheld. I will do that. To prejudge the outcome of that particular comment period is something that I can't do and shouldn't do at this point. I would need to respond to that only after being confirmed and going through the rest of the process.
So you're saying that you would be open to moving the point of obligation away from the corn and soybean producers and the ethanol manufacturers?
I'm saying
if that is what if that is what the open comment period says, if that's the result, then you would be open to moving it away from the farmers.
No, I'm saying, Senator, that any actions taken as administrator that would jeopardize and endanger the RFS as intended by Congress, I would not take. That is different from prejudging an outcome in that particular matter.
But the intent of Congress is to keep the point of obligation with the producers.
That's something I'm not aware of, Senator.
Okay. Well, let's move on to. I'm very concerned, and we'll follow up with this in the future. Let's go to safe drinking water. I sit on oversight government. I sat on government oversight committee in the House, where in a bipartisan manner we explored what happened in Flint, Michigan, and I was actually flabbergasted earlier today when, in response to my colleague Senator Cardin, whether you believe there's any safe level of lead that children can consume, you responded by saying, and I quote, "Senator, that is not something I've reviewed or know about. I believe there's some concern, but I've not looked into the scientific research on that." You're about to become the EPA administrator. You're seeking to be the EPA administrator, and you've not looked into the issue of lead in our drinking water supply. I think that is something, especially in the aftermath of Flint, is a serious oversight on your part. Have you even studied the Flint water crisis in preparing for this hearing? And do the names Mary Gady and Susan Hedman ring a bell to you?
The situation in Flint, as I indicated earlier, EPA should have acted more expeditiously in responding to Flint, and did not. There was indication at the regional level that there were concerns, and there was not a response. And I think that the EPA bears responsibility for what happened in Flint, and would seek to, in the future, avoid those kind of situations by being more proactive through the regional administrators and the states and municipalities in ensuring the quality of our drinking water.
As EPA administrator, will you commit to appointing a permanent regional administrator to the Midwest region They'll be based out of Chicago, but they cover Michigan. We have issues with lead in Galesburg, Illinois, for example. And will you give them the responsibility and the ability to act proactively so that they can step in when they see that the state is not doing its job in protecting the safe water drinking supply for its citizens?
As you know, Senator, the EPA, the answer is yes. The EPA has emergency order authority to respond to situations like you described. And I think the EPA should step in those situations in a very meaningful way.
That's good news because they did not do it in the case of Flint. Thank you. I'm out of time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank